Hello! So, this week I decided to talk about the pros and cons of console wars. This is actually a video I've been wanting to do for a while. See, when it comes to fan bases, everything has like these fanatics, like these diehard fans that'll defend it to, like with everything they have, like it's a member of the family or something. And that's the thing when like the goods and bads about these console wars in this case is that it's like when you have people like arguing and stuff like fighting over like which is the best and stuff, and it's funny like with little kids or kids in general I can understand because hell we all did it when we're like, I mean, god, I remember I was in elementary school during the 16-bit era, and I remember at like lunchtime and recess how people were saying like, "Oh, the Super Nintendo," or kids, I should say, not people, but kids are like, "Oh, the Super Nintendo is better than the Genesis." Oh, but the Genesis has blast processing, and you go back and forth. And you look at the ads when you go back and like watch the commercials from that era. You have like Sega and Nintendo going back and forth with each other. Some of them are pretty ingenious. Like one of my I mean, it's the handhelds, but not. But it's still them taking pucks at each other. One of my favorites was how the Game Gear, like making fun of the Game Boy, says like, "Oh, our system doesn't have cream spinach graphics." And I was like, "Okay, that's actually kind of funny," but yeah, and it's like so. My point is that like okay, it's like kids like bickering about what system's better. Like I said, we all did it when we were their age. But when it's full grown adults, it's honestly kind of sad. But on the other hand, it can be pretty entertaining. Like the lengths that people will go to defend a company that, to be real honest, most of these companies are just like a number to them. But the fact that people will defend them is, I don't know, it can be pretty funny. I mean, case in point, I love Nintendo. I love their IPs. Well, most of their IPs, and I like the fact that they're innovative and like try new things and have a lot of great memories with the company. But I'll still like disagree with them on certain things, or like call them out when they do stupid things, like when they had the whole YouTube partner program thing. How it was like basically, I mean, I do YouTube as more of a hobby, like and just sharing my thoughts and ideas with people. But I remember quite a few years ago, it was actually like around the time when I started my channel, I think. But it was funny how it was like when you had the channels who were making money, like reviewing their games and stuff, and Nintendo was basically like wanted a slice of that ad revenue pie, but. And then countless people were like saying, but like Nintendo, this is just free advertising. Like, I mean, yeah, technically they're profiting off your product, but they're you know telling people about this game and like convincing people to buy some of these new games and stuff. And it's like, and you're not paying a dime for this advertisement. I mean, I'm sure I'm not alone in this, but I'm sure a lot of you guys would agree with me. I can't even remember the last time I bought a new game because of a commercial I saw on TV. Because that was what this was. It was like YouTube was just like, I mean, Nintendo, excuse me, was like, they wanted a slice of that ad revenue pie. And it was just the fact that they're like, oh no, that YouTube advertising, game reviews and stuff on YouTube, that doesn't work. We'll just keep paying big bucks for TV commercials. like I said, it's been at least well over 10 years since I bought a new game because of a TV commercial. Maybe not even that, um, but that's just one example. And it's funny because it's like another thing is that like it's not even just video games. I think it's just like in general, everybody loves satire humor unless it somehow relates to them. Like case in point, I'm somewhat of an Xbox guy. The Xbox 360 is actually one of my favorite consoles of all time. But I remember when Microsoft unveiled the Xbox Series X, and it looks like a city building, so everyone's like making memes about it, like jokes and like making fun of the look of the system and everything. And one of the memes I saw was somebody took the old Rampage game, the old '80s arcade one, and they put the console like into that um, game, and then they had the monsters like Lizzie and George and all them like on top of the console, wrecking it like it was one of the buildings. And like I said, I'm somewhat of an Xbox guy. I thought that meme was hilarious, but and then it's like you have people who are like Xbox fanatics who are like who would think that isn't funny, but then it's like if the shoe was on the other foot, like because people were saying that the PS5 dev kit looks like a bedpan, these Xbox fanatics would think that meme was hilarious. But and then like Sony fanatics would or PlayStation fanatics who would see that meme about like making fun of the PS5 dev kit, they'd be like, yeah, that's not funny, but then they'd laugh their asses off at like these memes making fun of the Xbox Series X. Like another one was somebody put it like in like a regular city like New York or Boston or something, and they're like, oh look, it's the new Xbox corporate building or something like that. And it's like but people are just like, like I said, everyone loves satire humor unless it somehow relates to them. It's only funny if it's happening to someone else. Then the next two things that these like drive me insane is like, well, to some extent, is when you have people who try and like shove their or force their, they try and convert people to like game on their preferred platform, like, or preferred system, like they try and shove it down their throat. And it's like, what's funny, I've seen people say like their excuses like, oh, we're just trying to help you and stuff, and it's like, but I don't know, that doesn't, I have a theory, like let me put it this way. If you've seen my other videos and stuff, I obviously have multiple systems, and I jump around with games and systems and stuff. Like I'll play one system this day, then tomorrow I'll play another system. The following day I'll play a different system. Like I said, I jump around. I give all my same systems and consoles the same amount of love, so to speak. But let's just say hypothetically, the Switch was the only gaming system that I own. The only system that I play video games on. Now, imagine if it would be like if I went to like all my friends and said like, oh my god, like shove it in their face, like, oh my god, you have to buy the Switch. It's such a great system. There's a lot of great games on there. I really think you would love it. Blah 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 blah. But then it's just like, oh, what I'm really doing is I'm just trying to get them to game on the same platform as me, because I'm trying to get the Switch a larger user base, because that means more developers will support the system, so it'll benefit me more, because then it will get more developers and such to make games for this system. So it's like, you see what I'm saying? Like, and I sometimes think that's what people are doing, like, when it's like, oh, we're just trying to help you. It's like, no, you're just trying to help yourself. Like, at least that's a theory that I have. I could be wrong. I'm sure not everyone's like that, but sometimes that's what I see when people do that kind of shit. And the next thing is that when you have people who, like, basically just, they take it to the next level where they defend the system like it's like, I remember how can I put this, like when people like send each other death threats over the internet, or like like, oh, let's meet in the back of the alley and beat the shit out of each other, let's like start a console war fight club. And in most cases these people are just kidding around, or they're just blowing off steam. But the problem with this is there are people out there with like a one-track mind, like mindless sheep basically, who, when they see these type of things, these people acting this way, regardless whether they're kidding or not, whether these gamers are kidding or not, when you see people acting this way, these one-track mind people are going to be like, oh, like every gamer on the planet is a Neanderthal. They all send each other. They're all like, oh my god, like video games are causing everyone to be violent. They're making everyone go into like become like crazy and such, and they're like gonna go off and like they're gonna go off and purge like the movies or something. And it's like, and, you know, they get behind that like bandwagon, like, oh, we have to ban video games, like not just violent ones, but we gotta ban video games in general. Even like, you know, the more the kid friendly ones like Mario and stuff like that. Or like Angry Birds and things like that, and it's just like, oh, like I get part of the reason I don't even watch the news. Like I'll just get that out of there right now, just because I get so sick of hearing that, and it's just like, let's just assume for a minute that this is true. Imagine if everybody who played video games became violent. Like if video games made people violent. Let's just assume that for a minute. Like even people who haven't played video games in decades, or if they just started gaming like a few months ago, let's say everybody who plays video games became violent and like went on these like rampages and stuff, humanity would cease to exist. Like, I mean, because it's like, you know, not, it would be like the movie The Purge, but like 10 times more intense, and it wouldn't be just for like a day. It would be an ongoing thing. Like humanity, the human race would go extinct. But yeah, so I'm gonna end with like somewhat of a pro here. Well, not end, but like my last thing will be like a more of a positive thing, and it boggles my mind that people just don't get this, or some people just don't get it. I mean, again, kids I can understand because obviously they're not like fully developed, so to speak. But when it's like full grown adults, like why? How do you like not see that? Here's the thing, competition is a good thing. When you have companies competing with each other, they think outside the box and they try new things. They learn things from each other. Like, for example, when Nintendo released the Wii, and you know they made, you know, obviously they didn't like create motion controls, so to speak, but they made motion controls big. Like they made them popular. So then, excuse me, Sony and Microsoft were like, looked at the success of the Wii and the whole motion control thing, and they're like, oh, we should create our own motion control devices or something. Excuse me. Throat's drying up. I forgot to bring water with me. Anyway. But, and so, like, you know, like, so that Sony and Microsoft tried that. Or, like, another example would be, like, how, like, Microsoft created achievements, like an achievement system or something, and Sony looked at it and said, like, oh, that's a great idea. We should do something like that. You know, they came up with the trophy system. They looked at like, oh, that's a cool idea. You know, it gives people like, well, other than the people who do it for like bragging rights or whatever, but it gives like these people who play video games, like, it gives them more bang for their buck, so to speak. Like, it gives them more longevity with their games. Like, it gives them like replay value and stuff. That's a great idea. We should create something like that. Like, you know. And that's just a couple of examples. These companies learn things from each other. They try new things and stuff. And it's like, here's the thing. Even though it would be kind of nice if there was no competition, like everything, there was no console wars, everything was just all on one system or platform, the gaming industry would be shit. Because, or more than it is now, I guess. I mean, it's still pretty decent. It's just, maybe it's because we're all getting older and we're, like, some of the newer games don't appeal to as much as older ones, but whatever. The thing is, if you don't have companies competing with each other, they don't think outside the box, they won't, you know, because it's like there's no reason to try new things and try and, like, one-up each other and, like, experiment and stuff. It becomes, like, stale and repetitive. They just do the same thing over and over and over again, and it's like, it gets, like, to the point where they're just like, they don't, there's no reason to try, because they know people are going to buy their product. They know that whatever whatever half-assed game they release, it's going to sell, because they're like, oh, what's the point of making this like a masterpiece? People are going to buy it, because it's not like there's, you know, we're not competing with anyone. There's no real reason to try anymore, you know what I'm saying? Like, and, like, that's why console wars will always be an important thing. It's like, at least, I think that's one of the most, if not the most important thing, is it's always good to have competition, because then, you know, like I said, I know I sound like a broken record, but when they're competing with each other, they try new things and think outside the box, and it, for the most part, it makes consumers happy, because then they actually try. We'll just leave it at that. So now that I got that off my chest, talking about like those are just some of the pros and cons with console wars. So I hope the rest of you folks have a nice day. Thanks for watching, and remember, play games, not companies.